Ever wonder what it takes to lift those massive steel beams you see on construction sites?
Hmm.
Or those gigantic wind turbine blades?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
today's deep dive is all about the company that makes those feats of engineering possible.
Mm-hmm.
Tadano.
Tadano, they're practically synonymous with cranes.
Right.
But
Yeah.
what's fascinating is how their story began.
Okay.
We're going way back to 1919.
Wow.
Not to a construction site, but to a steel fabrication shop in Takamatsu, Japan.
Okay, so not cranes right away.
Yeah.
What kind of sources do we have to paint this picture of Tadano's beginnings?
We've got a few key pieces of the puzzle.
Dende.
Wikipedia entries in both English and Japanese
Okay.
give us a good overview.
Great.
And luckily, I can read Japanese.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Which comes in handy because we've also got Tadano's official website, which is entirely in Japanese.
Perfect. So we're not just getting the English-speaking world's take on the company. And what's our mission for today's deep dive? Are we just going through a timeline, or is there something more we're trying to uncover?
It's much more than a timeline.
Oh.
We want to understand what made Tadano so important, how they went from steel fabrication to a global lifting giant,
Right.
and what they're up to now.
Okay.
Because they're not just resting on their laurels,
No.
they're actively shaping the future of lifting.
Ooh, that sounds exciting. Okay, let's go back to that steel fabrication shop.
Yeah.
What was so special about Masuo Tadano, the founder? Was he just a good businessman, or was there something more to him?
He was definitely a sharp businessman.
Okay.
But more than that, Masuo Tadano was an innovator.
Okay.
He wasn't content with just making steel parts.
Right.
He wanted to create things that solved problems.
Mhm.
In the 1950s, he even invented a machine specifically for maintaining railway tracks.
Okay, that's pretty cool, but I'm still waiting for the cranes to enter the picture. When does that happen?
Patience.
Okay.
But this invention is important because it shows Tadano's early commitment to infrastructure and heavy industry. They were thinking big from the start.
Right.
And then in 1955,
Yeah.
they hit a major milestone, Japan's first hydraulic truck crane.
All right, now we're talking.
Yeah.
This is where things get interesting.
Right.
But a lot of companies build cranes.
Sure.
What made this one so special? What made it a first?
Before this, most cranes in Japan were either manually operated
Okay.
or relied on older, less affluent technologies.
Gotcha.
Tadano's hydraulic crane was a game changer
Okay.
because it offered greater lifting capacity, precision, and speed.
Wow.
Imagine trying to delicately place a massive steel beam using only ropes and pulleys.
Oh, yeah.
Suddenly, you have this hydraulic power at your fingertips, making the work faster, safer,
Right.
and more precise.
Wow.
It revolutionized construction in Japan.
Wow. I can see why that would be a huge deal.
Yeah.
So they weren't just building a crane?
Right.
They were building a better way to build, period.
Yeah.
Did they stick to Japan for a while, or did they start thinking globally right away?
They weren't afraid to aim high.
Oh.
Just 5 years after that first hydraulic crane,
Mm.
they were already exporting to Indonesia in 1960.
Indonesia. That's a bold move for a company that was just making railway track maintenance machines a few years earlier.
Yeah.
So they had their sights set on global expansion early on.
Absolutely. And they had a clever strategy,
Okay.
partnering with local businesses to establish a foothold in new markets. They weren't just shipping cranes overseas.
Yeah.
They were building relationships and adapting to local needs.
Smart move. So it wasn't just about the technology. It was about understanding the people and the places they were working with.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this approach paid off.
Okay.
They established their first European subsidiary in 1973.
Oh.
And in 1972, they went public on the Tokyo Stock Exchange.
Really?
These were huge steps towards becoming a truly global player.
From a small shop in Takamatsu to the Tokyo Stock Exchange.
Yeah.
That's an incredible journey.
It is.
It sounds like they had a pretty clear vision for growth.
They did.
Yeah.
But it wasn't just about expanding their footprint. It was about expanding their capabilities, too.
Okay.
They weren't content with just making one type of crane.
Okay, so they were ambitious,
Yeah.
but how did they go about expanding their product line? Was it through research and development or?
Both.
Okay.
They invested heavily in R&D,
Mm-hmm.
constantly improving their crane designs and introducing new models.
Gotcha.
But they also made some very strategic acquisitions like Spandeck in the U.S.,
Okay.
which specialized in crawler cranes.
Hold on back up a sec. For those of us who aren't construction experts, what exactly is a crawler crane?
Good point.
Yeah.
A crawler crane is basically a crane
Okay.
mounted on a tracked undercarriage,
Okay.
like a tank.
Gotcha.
This gives them incredible stability and maneuverability on rough terrain. So if you're working on a construction site that's muddy, uneven,
Mm-hmm.
or just plain tough to navigate, a crawler crane is your best friend.
Uh-huh. So by acquiring Spandeck,
Right.
Tadano wasn't just adding another crane to their catalog, they were adding a whole new capability,
Like that.
the ability to work in challenging environments.
Exactly.
Awesome. And this pattern continued.
It did.
Yeah.
In 2008, they acquired FAUN,
Okay.
a German crane manufacturer
Hmm.
known for their all-terrain cranes.
Okay.
Think of these as the SUVs of the crane world,
Okay.
built for versatility and on-road, off-road performance.
So they were filling in gaps in their product line,
Mm-hmm.
becoming a one-stop shop for lifting solutions.
Yeah.
It's like they were assembling a giant toolkit, one crane at a time.
Yeah.
But did they ever do anything outside of just making and selling cranes?
Actually, yes. And this is where we get to one of my favorite Tadano stories.
Oh.
In the 1990s,
Yeah.
they played a crucial role in restoring those iconic Moai statues
Wait, seriously? The giant stone heads.
on Easter Island.
What did cranes have to do with that?
Well, these statues had been toppled over time, and
What?
some were in danger of being lost forever.
Oh, no.
Tadano provided their expertise and equipment
Mm-hmm.
to help carefully lift and restore these massive, fragile monuments.
Wow.
It was a huge undertaking, and
Wow.
they even fully funded the entire project.
Wow. That's impressive. So it wasn't just about profit for them. They were
Mhm.
genuinely committed to preserving cultural heritage. But I imagine a project like that wasn't without its challenges.
You're right. There
Mhm.
was initial pushback
Mhm.
from local residents and archaeologists
Sure.
who were understandably concerned about potential damage to the statues.
Of course.
But Tadano worked closely with experts and stakeholders,
Okay.
using their most advanced cranes and techniques to ensure everything was done with the utmost care and precision.
So they basically had to prove that they were not only technically capable, but also culturally sensitive. Sounds like they really went above and beyond.
They did,
Wow.
and it paid off.
Yeah.
That project was a huge success,
That's awesome.
not just in terms of restoring the statues,
Mm-hmm.
but also in terms of building trust and goodwill.
Right.
It showed the world that Tadano wasn't just a company that built cranes.
Yeah.
They were a company that cared about preserving history and culture.
It's a great story, and it really highlights how Tadano's expertise goes beyond just construction. It's about problem solving on a global scale. It's amazing to see how a company known for heavy machinery can also demonstrate such a delicate touch. But let's bring it back to their core business. We talked about Spandeck and FAUN, but what about the more recent acquisitions? Our sources mentioned a big one in 2019.
Ah, yes. That was the acquisition of Demag Mobile Cranes from Terex. This was a major power move,
Okay.
giving Tadano access to Demag's line of all-terrain and lattice boom crawler cranes.
Okay, I'm going to need another quick explanation here.
Mm-hmm.
Lattice boom crawler cranes.
Yeah.
What makes them different?
Think of them as the heavy lifters of the crane world. They use a lattice structure instead of a telescopic boom, which allows them to handle truly enormous weights and reach incredible heights. These are the cranes you see building skyscrapers and massive bridges.
So with DMEG, Tadano was basically saying we can lift anything, anywhere, no matter how big or heavy.
Exactly. They became a truly comprehensive lifting solutions provider, capable of tackling any project imaginable.
And yet, even with all this growth and acquisition, they didn't stop innovating. Our sources mentioned a pretty big development in 2023.
That's right. In 2023, Tadano unveiled their first all-electric rough terrain crane.
An all-electric crane. That sounds like a pretty big deal. Why is that so significant?
It's a huge step towards a more sustainable future for the lifting industry. Traditional cranes rely heavily on diesel engines, which contribute to pollution and greenhouse gas emissions. By developing an electric crane, Tadano is showing a real commitment to reducing their environmental impact.
It's like they're trying to electrify the entire construction site one crane at a time.
It's a bold move, and it's not the only one. Recently, they also acquired Nagano Industry, a Japanese company specializing in aerial work platforms.
Those are those platforms that lift workers up to high places, right? Like the ones you see window washers using.
Exactly. They're essential for all sorts of tasks, from building maintenance to tree trimming. And they're increasingly being used in construction as a safer and more efficient alternative to scaffolding.
So it seems like Tadano is looking beyond traditional cranes, expanding into new areas with a focus on sustainability. What do you think this all means for their future? Where are they headed?
I think they're positioning themselves as the leaders in a new era of lifting, an era where sustainability, efficiency, and technological innovation are paramount. They're not just lifting objects, they're lifting our expectations for what's possible in the world of construction and beyond.
It's an inspiring story. From a small steel fabrication shop to a global force in the lifting industry, Tadano has consistently pushed the boundaries of what's possible.
And they haven't forgotten their roots. They're still headquartered in Takamatsu, and they continue to embody the spirit of innovation and craftsmanship that Masuo Tadano instilled in the company from the very beginning.
It's amazing to think about the journey they've taken, from maintaining railway tracks to restoring ancient wonders, from building skyscrapers to leading the charge for a more sustainable future.
And it makes you wonder, what will they lift next? What new heights will they reach? What dreams will they help us achieve?
It's exciting to think about. So for our listeners out there, the next time you see a Tadano crane, remember the story behind it. Remember the legacy of innovation, the dedication to quality, and the unwavering commitment to lifting not just objects, but dreams. And who knows, maybe it'll inspire you to reach for your own dreams, to push beyond your own limits, and to make a positive impact in the world around you.
Beautifully said. This has been a fascinating deep dive into the world of Tadano. Until next time, keep exploring and keep reaching for those dreams.